Serious, what revenge of yours hit the victim way worse than you thought it would, to the point you said maybe I shouldn't have done that? I was dating this girl and my friend saw her around town a few times and humiliated her in an effort to embarrass me. I told him to stop bothering her, but he did it again. That night I convinced him to try getting back together with his wildly insane and manipulative ex that he hadn't spoken to in years, thinking that he would just humiliate himself by trying. Well, they banged and got back together for a while and had a baby. Now they are terrible single parents. Jesus, I think the consequences from this one are the worst in the thread. In elementary school there was a bully kid who would make fun of me. I had a bad bowl cut and was pretty small, so it wasn't surprising. Me and my friends usually just ignored him. Anyway, one day this kid from Brazil moved into the house next to mine. He was a year older. We used to play soccer together every day after school. I mentioned to him once that this kid would call me names, and usually while walking home from school, would follow behind me taunting me. One day I'm leaving school and this kid is going slowly behind me on his bike shouting stuff. Just dumb kid stuff, you know. Brazil kid comes out of nowhere, knocks the kid off his bike, and just starts beating him. Bully is on the grass crying and bleeding. Brazil kid grabs the bike and gives it to me. "You can keep this," and then walks away. I didn't know what to do. I just laid the bike next to the kid and walked home. He wasn't at school for like a week. Later in life I found that kid had a really crappy home situation with abusive parents. I was 10 at the time. Always felt bad for that. Quit bullying me though. I still occasionally see that Brazilian guy. Don't think he even remembers it. Cool on him for helping in his way. I just think it went too far. When I was in 9th grade, a kid ruthlessly bullied me for a few months. I had gotten sick of it and devised a plan for revenge. Every Wednesday we would get to sit outside for quiet reading time and this kid would always go back inside for a piss. I had left and waited in the bathroom for him, peeking under the stool for his shoes to appear. He came in the bathroom, took his piss, then played on his Gamma Boy for the rest of reading time. The bell rang, and he walked out to the crowded stairwell still looking down at his Gamma Boy. I bumped into him. He fell face first down the stairs, knocked out 4 front teeth. Everyone on the stairs assumed he fell because he was playing his Gamma Boy. I feel pretty bad about it. Edit. I identified him by his shoes, used the bathroom as a place to pick up his trail. The bathroom he used was on the 2nd floor. Since it was the closest one to the door near where we were at outside, I knew he would have to use a set of stairs to go back down to his next class, one we had together, but I didn't know which one. Had a roommate who basically let his new GF move into our house in college. She helped herself to everything in the house but never contributed. Finally she parked in my parking spot and that was my breaking point. I let all the air out of all of her tires, thinking she'd just air them back up and it would be an inconvenience. Instead she ended up buying all new tires. Whoops. Never came clean about it. She's an idiot. I'm still mad at myself for this. When I was a preteen, my friend and I went to one of those day camps that picked us up in yellow school buses. One of the other kids on our bus was a younger boy I refer to as Ellie. Ellie was a freaking terror. He would scream and spit and hump things, make a mess, and be as annoying and insufferable as possible. Riding the bus with him was a nightmare for everyone involved most of the time. So I came up with this idea. I found his family in the phone book and called up pretending to be a camp counselor. I told his mom that he was misbehaving on the bus and that he would either be disciplined or kicked out of the camp if he didn't stop. She bought it, said she would talk to him about it. I felt so freaking smart. Until the next day, when a quiet, sullen Ellie showed up with a black eye. Edit. Apparently a lot of you don't believe that a preteen could convincingly sound like a camp counselor over the phone. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe the static of our connection made my fake adult voice more convincing, or Ella's parents were really gullible, or they were just looking for any old excuse to beat up their kid. I don't remember the precise details of a conversation I had like 17 years ago, but I really did call his family, and he really did show up with a black eye the next day. If I were going to lie about this, I'd have probably come up with a cooler story. Anecdotally, it seems that the reason the kids are acting out is because the parenting is bad, and then when you try to alert the parents, you get, as is consistent, a bad parenting response. Behavioral consequence of child abuse. Not your fault, Opus. You couldn't have known. Cowwalker and I had a friendly prank war spanning 2 years. Close to the end of our war he iced my car. Icing involves taking the hose to the parking lot every half hour and spraying a light mist over your victim's car when it's below 0 out. I finished my 12-hour shift to find the car encased in 2 inches of ice. My revenge was, I thought, both more inconvenient for him and less freezing my balls off for me. I decided to take a bedsheet, drape it over his car, and only took 4 or 5 trips out with the hose the next night. So the next morning he finds his car with a 1/4 inch of ice freezing a sheet to his car. When he started peeling off the sheet he pulled his windshield wipers, arms and all off of his ratty Jeep. I got a very pissed off phone call. I felt bad. The unwritten rule was embarrassing or inconvenient. No damage. I paid for repairs, and he got his revenge. He planted a dozen pieces of smoked herring throughout my car. Took me 6 months to find the last piece. Hidden under the carpet under the back window of my car. I can still smell it. I don't even own the car anymore. Lasting smells definitely sounds like permanent damage that will trash your car's market value. When I was little my friends kept pointing at the little girl on the box of the board game Operation and saying it looks like me. So I pointed at the big fat guy and said that's your mom and didn't realize she was behind me. Back in middle school a friend of mine threw a small wadded piece of paper at me. I retaliated by throwing the only thing I could find, which was mud close to my shoes. Smacked him right in the face with it. Worst part is, it turned out to be dog poop that was at the bottom of my shoe. I still vividly remember his angry "WTF man, I throw paper at you and you throw dog poop." My older brother was always quite horrible to me as a child and my parents never really did much about it. He was also much bigger than me, so I couldn't retaliate in a physical way cause I would be swiftly crippled cross-faced / walls of Jerichard. One day I had just had enough. My revenge? He had been playing Rome Total War for a good 6 hours a day for about 3 weeks. I started a new game and overwrote his save file. Never seen fury like it. I regretted it at the time. Cause he was so angry it scared me and it made him dislike me even more, but now I praise my 13-year-old self for hitting him where it clearly hurt most. Edit. Some of you are asking how our relationship is now. It's okay. I moved away as soon as I hit 18, so I didn't see much of the family for some years. He was a prick, but his choice of submission moves was excellent. I think I have told this before, but I think I was 15 and was in class and sat next to a friend of mine. He, for no reason, began to say, "Haha, your bald father," which I followed up with, "Haha, your bald mother." He started crying and ran to the teacher. I honestly forgot his mom had cancer and was getting chemo. He not really relevant to this thread, but you reminded me of a funny incident. In high school, my mom finally insisted that I start shaving because my beginner's mustache looked trashy, so I did, and this kid from across the street, maybe 10 or so years younger than me, noticed, so he tried to mock me. "Haha, you shave your face. Haha, just like my mom. Only girls shave their mustache off." He thought he was mocking me, but all he was really doing was accidentally revealing that his mom had such a dense mustache that she needed to shave. IDK what it was, but a lot of the boys in my 6th grade class thought it was hilarious to try and trip people. They'd get your ass, no matter how careful you were. Well, I was pretty good at avoiding it, but when I was in gym class this kid named Joe, I got my ass hard. I was dribbling down court and emailed me. I face planted hard. So I thought about how to get him, and I got him at lunch. He was holding a lunch tray, so his hands weren't as useful. He nailed a table and lost a tooth. I got suspended for 10 days, and a strict no tripping policy got implemented. Immediate suspensions if caught. It sucked. My dad beat my ass raw. Sorry, Joe, I deserved it. This one is not as serious or entertaining as most of the answers you'll find here. But when we were kids, my sister threw water at me and ran away, so I picked up my glass of water and ran after her. I threw the water from the glass at her once I had her cornered. Unfortunately, the glass had slipped out of my hand and it hit her right across her face. She got bruised and cut pretty bad. I bet she never threw water at you again. A roommate poured water on me while I was asleep, so I filled all his shoes and the pockets of all his trousers with chili powder. I didn't realize the powder had dye in, and it stained everything red, including any shirts he had tucked into work trousers and a lot of items he washed with them. I'm guessing he didn't pour water on you again. To this day he's still super careful handling drinks around me and makes jokes about it. It's been like 10 years and we don't even live together anymore.